Have you ever had an incredibly frustrating situation happen, right? Comes out of nowhere seemingly, and you are on your mission to be, happy, be at peace, get along well in the world, and this thing happens and you just can't stop thinking about it. You can't stop thinking about the injustice. You can't stop thinking about how unfair it is or how things should have gone differently. I found myself in a situation like that yesterday, and immediately I jumped into my toolbox of techniques that I use to get myself back into a state of peace, contentment, and receiving. I am part of an online community that's associated with an app that I use to work out. And ever since I joined the community, I joined about a year ago, but I've had the app for like 3 years. There's been nothing but complaints in this community, right? People just nitpicking everything about the app. And I noticed that, so I never really participated in the dynamic. And recently, those nitpicking, that constant complaining that's been happening, I'm sure since the app was developed, culminated in the app creator making all these changes to this app that I have loved and used for many years. Now it's terrible. There's all kinds of glitches. Things aren't working properly. And I was so upset and triggered by this because this is what I've been used to. Like, this is what has made me into a person who identifies as a gym girl, right? This is what has made me feel confident in the gym. So on a deep level, I was really shaken up that I may not have access to the tools that I had access to before. And immediately when I was scrolling on my social media and I saw this community pop up, I saw that they, of course, were continuing to complain. And in my mind, I went into blame mode. And I immediately thought to myself, this is y'all's fault. Y'all did this. The app was perfect. I've been using it for years. And because of your constant complaining, constant harassment of the app creator, because now we have people in the world who are professional complainers, like they are super committed to being dissatisfied. And so I decided, not my best moment, not my wisest decision, to post my thoughts in this community online. And I had seen, over the past year or so that it's not a safe space. Like, it's a space for complainers. It's a space for people with victim mentality. And I decided I would post, hey, I've loved the app for years. And really, my motivation behind doing it was that I thought there might be other people like me who loved the app, but who had been quiet and not really spoken up in the community because of all the nitpicking and negativity. And so I said, I've loved the app. Now, because of the complaints of a minority, it doesn't work anymore. And immediately, I got some people that liked it, and some people that commented that they felt the same way. But that community, like I said, the environment was for those complainers. So they immediately started jumping in and saying, how do you know it was a minority? Where did you get your facts? Like, they just immediately started attacking me the same way that they had been attacking the app. And so, realizing what I had done, I immediately deleted my post. I wasn't about to invest energy in arguing with people, but combined with my frustration that the app was no longer working properly and feeling attacked in a space that I had erroneously identified as safe, it put me in a funk. And it was like really early in the morning. And so I hate when I get there. The funk, the feeling like a victim used to be common for me, but it's not anymore. Like, my set point is peace and contentment. And so I was feeling all this angst, and I was like, how do I get out of this? How do I get out of this? And I had to call on my higher self. And it inspired me to make this video for anybody who is dealing, and this is not like a big deal. I didn't want to get into anything serious, but anybody who's dealing with a situation that's causing them to feel kind of stuck in negative emotion. When confrontation happens, especially, it's easy to get stuck in what should have been said, how people should have behaved. And that's where my mind was. And it was keeping me in this space of just not feeling good. And so today I want to introduce you to the method that I use to get out of these situations and back into a high vibration. Affirmations were popular for a long time, and for many years I've used them to transform my life. But keyword is many years. It's taken many years of repetition for them to sink in. Well, over the last couple of years, I've discovered that asking questions is much more effective than affirmations. It's just quicker. And I thought of an analogy to help me understand why, and I'm going to share it with you. So think about when you were a student in a classroom, right? And you started to lose focus or stop paying attention or get sleepy. To the person standing in front of the room, it's obvious that you are disengaged, right? They're spitting out information to you and you have just zoned out. Your mind is somewhere else. You're not feeling it. What is a common technique for teachers or for instructors or for speakers? It's to ask a question. It's to call your name. So if I'm dozing off in class, Samara, what do you think about such and such? Or what is the answer to this question? Blah, blah, blah. And questions work the same way when you ask them of yourself. So if you're in a funk, right, and you're trying to force yourself out of it by telling yourself all these things that you know to be true, but they're just not impacting your mood, you're like disconnected from them. Asking yourself these 6 questions that I'm about to share with you can snap you out of that funk, snap you out of that disconnection from the higher truths that you know to be true. So I'll get right into the questions. Actually, no, I'm going to go and I'm going to walk through some questions. I have notes here in front of me if you see me looking down, but I'm going to walk through the questions that we normally ask ourselves after situations like this. What was it I didn't like about that situation? So oftentimes when something happens to us that's not desired, we're like, well, we think through and through and through and through about the details of what bothered us the most, right? And it just re-aggravates us. We work hard to kind of justify our feelings. So sometimes we ask ourselves deep down whether or not we should even be upset about it, whether or not it's a big deal. And so we kind of go through this process of feeling the need to validate our own emotions for ourselves by justifying why we should feel the way that we feel. We also ask ourselves, like, why didn't I like that? Like, we're so focused on why we didn't like it as part of justifying those feelings. We think about what we should have said to the person, so we replay the triggering words, or we think about the triggering actions over and over again. And then we think to ourselves, how am I going to fix this? Like, what can I do about this problem? And these are all very natural responses to an unwanted interaction or situation, right? But they keep us stuck in the negative emotions because we replay the unwanted experience over and over and over and over and over again. And that day, like I had posted and gotten responses before I went to the gym. So I'm in the gym trying to enjoy my workout. Usually it's the best time of my day, but I'm just replaying these comments and replaying what I think about the whole situation in my head over and over and over again. And I can't stop myself from going back to it. So what do I do instead when it comes to me? This is not new, but I've decided that I should structure it in a way that's helpful to those of you who watch my videos. The first question I ask myself now is, what would I have preferred to experience? And the reason that this question is so crucial is because it takes my mind from replaying the unwanted event into creating a new and better picture. So back to what I was talking about at the beginning of the video, the reason that unwanted things happen is to catapult us. It's like that snapback of the rubber band. So if I ask myself, what would I have preferred? Then it allows my imagination to then create this new experience that I may not have brought into my awareness had I not had the unwanted experience. So in this case, what would I have preferred to experience? Well, obviously the first thing that popped up in my head is, that the app never changed in the first place. And then I started thinking about the possibility that the app creator and her team would revert back to some of the old features in the app. And so I was like, that's still a possibility. I don't have to feel so upset and triggered by this. I wish that I had not posted in the Facebook group. So what I learned was not to do that next time. Like, I should have known, or I should have thought about whether the space was safe before I posted. So asking yourself what you prefer to experience kind of snaps you out of reliving that negative experience and takes your imagination and your vibration with it to a more positive experience. The second question I ask is, what feelings do I think this alternate experience would have allowed me to feel? So another one of the alternate possibilities that I thought about was getting access to an even better app. I love this app. Like I said, I've been using it for 4 years, nearly 4 years. And I said, just because I love it and I think it's perfect doesn't mean that there's not something better out there. As a matter of fact, I'm going to imagine that there is something better out there. And then that second question, what feelings do I think that this alternate experience would allow me to feel? Pure excitement. Like, I would be able to take my workouts to the next level. So question number 2, what feelings do you think this alternate experience would allow you to feel? The third question that I asked myself is, what would I need to do differently in order to experience that feeling, the feeling that I'm looking for? So asking that second question about what feelings you think you would experience if you had the alternate experience, if you had the better experience that you desired, it gets you to speak the internal language of your higher self. And what do I mean by that? Your higher self does not respond to your words or even your visualizations. It responds to your vibration, right? So let's say, for example, you are trying to create a new situation. You're trying to manifest something. And so you paint the picture via a visualization, but your gut level response to that new situation is, I can't have that. I don't deserve that. That's so far-fetched. So you could be visualizing something, but what your higher self is getting from you is that you don't deserve it, is that it's too far-fetched, is that it's not realistic. So that is actually what gets reflected back to you. So asking yourself about the feelings you want to experience versus the specific outcome allows your higher self to lead you towards what would create that feeling versus, pushing you away from an experience. You can actually have your higher self lead you away from an experience because your beliefs about what you say you want are so full of fear, doubt, anxiety, etc., etc. Asking yourself what you might need to do differently in order to experience something allows your higher self to speak back to you, right? So asking question number 2, what feelings am I hoping to experience? And then asking and listening for question number 3 and saying, what would I need to do differently in order to experience that? Let your higher self tell you what your next step should be. So in my case, what should I do differently? I had already identified one of those things when I asked myself the first question, and that is to make sure a space is safe before I step into vulnerability. And that has nothing to do with the app, right? So as I go through these questions, you'll see that it's never actually about the circumstances. It's about who you become as a result of the circumstances, how you explore your inner world and your desires as a response to the circumstances. That was my number 3. What would I need to do differently in order to experience the feelings that I associate with what I think I want? Number 4, how has the original or unwanted experience served me? It's allowed me to see that I have a habit of having a default of vulnerability, right? It also has taught me that I need to be vocal when things are good. If there's something that I like, I need to be very vocal, just as vocal as the perpetual victims and perpetual nitpickers about what is good. So instead of just taking it for granted, I need to be expressive when it comes to gratitude, because if more of us who are happy with that situation would have spoken up, I think things would have gone a little bit better. When it came to that app, a lot of the things that they changed were the result of complaints, but because they didn't have a good track record of, I love this feature, I love that feature, they got rid of some of those, if you know what I mean. So maybe if I was more vocal and some of us other users were more vocal about what we loved, those things wouldn't have been disturbed as part of the update, and the app probably would have functioned a little better. So I learned to check for safety before being vulnerable, and I learned to be vocal about what I like in a particular experience. Number 5, what has this experience taught me about myself? Similar. Like when you think about how something has served you and given you an opportunity, it can teach you a lot about your true desires, your true motivations, what actions, thoughts, and beliefs of yours contribute to certain outcomes. And then number 6, what opportunities has this experience allowed me to have? I have an opportunity to have an even better experience with a different app. This might open up a door for another, app creator or someone else to step into that hole, step into that gap. This experience allowed me the opportunity to see possibilities for a community to be created with a different energy or a different group of people supporting it. So it's just opened my mind. Like I had a one-track mind when it came to this app and how I work out. And this may force me to expand on that a little bit. I kind of mastered what this app has taught me, but I was super comfortable. So those are the 6 questions. I used a pretty simple example just to be able to illustrate, how this plays out in real life, but I'll just quickly go through the questions again. So when something unwanted or something you'd rather not have experienced happens to you and you find yourself stuck in a rut emotionally, ask yourself these 6 questions. Number 1, what would I have preferred to experience? This will catapult you from ruminating on the unwanted experience into designing your preferred reality. Number 2, what feelings do I think that this new experience I'm creating will allow me to feel? This allows you to speak in the language of your higher self, which is emotions, right? If you identify and allow yourself to experience those feelings, then you communicate to your higher self that that's what you desire, and then your higher self can guide you to that new experience. Number 3, what would I need to do differently in order to experience those feelings? So this allows you to listen to your higher self. So you express to your higher self how you want to feel. And then when you ask yourself this question, it allows your higher self to say, take this action next, do this thing differently, and it will take you in the right direction. Question number 4, how has the negative experience served me? So you look at it and you say, what has this taught me about myself? What has this taught me about my desires? What has the vision that I've created of what I'd rather have shown me about who I really am? How has it allowed me an opportunity to experience elevation? Number 5, what has this experience taught me about myself and who I am? And number 6, what opportunities has this experience allowed me to have? Really, all you need is the first 4 questions. Questions number 5 and 6 kind of help you dig a little deeper. I would recommend, so these are questions that you can ask yourself just mentally. You don't have to use all of them, and they can help you shift out of that funk that you're in emotionally. But I would recommend writing, because sometimes if you haven't practiced this, you can still get stuck, right? You can start asking yourself these questions, and then out of habit, your mind can just start to revert to ruminating over what a victim you are and how horrible your experience was. But if you're writing, it kind of forces you to see, to look and see what is coming out, whether it lines up with the new experience you want or whether you're still stuck on this old experience that you've had. But yeah, that's it. Those are 6 questions to help you get out of an emotional funk as a result of experiencing something unwanted. I hope this helps. Get daily inspirational quotes, document your manifestation journey, and do all of your scripting in the Create Your Life journal that can be found on Amazon.com. Link in description and bio. Like and subscribe for more.